the co-founder and head of corporate and contracts at Mastery Law Firm in Saudi Arabia. Fawaz serves as the head of corporate and foreign investment and companies at Mastery Law Firm and is a licensed lawyer before Saudi courts. With his expertise in corporate matters, he contributes significantly to the growth and governance of companies. Please join me in welcoming Fawaz Mubki. Our panelists today embody the essence of expertise and excellence in the legal profession, and I'm eager to delve into the discussion on litigation readiness and information governance with these distinguished individuals. So let's get started. Thank you all for those warm welcomes. Now let's embark on our journey into the world of litigation readiness and information governance. To kick things off, I'll be posing some thought-provoking questions to our panelists. So Abhishek, turning to you, in the Indian legal arena, how do you see the intersection of commercial litigation and arbitration shaping the landscape for businesses, and what role does information governance play in this dynamics?
So, like we discussed in the first session of today's morning, that how arbitration and mediation has become a mandate in some of the laws in India, and it has become absolutely necessary for parties to try to mediate and sit into arbitration before initiating any suit. As per the Commercial Courts Act, also it is mandatory. With respect to information governance, I'm proud to say that from a legal perspective, from an Indian legal perspective, we have come up with a new law with respect to, which is called the Digital Data Protection Act, which is basically protecting data. And since we are living in a digital era of data, and data is king right now, and the introduction of this bill of protecting data and right to privacy with respect to that data is extremely important. And I'm looking forward to share my ideas on these two pivotal topics, which are data privacy and obviously litigation readiness, as to how do we protect our data, and if we actually get into litigation because of violation of these privacy laws, what are the steps that we are taking to ensure that our clients are safe.
All right, excellent points, Abhishek. Now, Fawaz, let's focus on Saudi Arabia. Can you share your experience in handling corporate and contract matters and importance of, information governance in Saudi Arabia's context?
Hi, everyone. In Saudi Arabia, we do have more than laws organize privacy of data. Also, there is a limitation for preserving documents starting from 10 years to 25 years for government sector, for private sector from till 10 years. So it depends on the activity and the sector. Overall, we do have a code just new. So we are now testing it in the court. So we don't know how to apply it so far, but hopefully with a couple of years it will be more clear, the picture. But we do have laws for that.
All right, good. Great. Thank you, Fawaz, for shedding light on those aspects. Now let's dive into a broader discussion, and I would like to feel for you to discuss with each other, maybe some questions you want to ask each other, and let's continue this discussion by having personal discussion.
Go ahead.
So I was sitting with him, and I had a question with him as to how does a legal practice work in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And since it's my first time in Dubai, I would like to definitely know more as to how do you build your practice, and what are your areas, how do you do your BDs, and what are your marketing skills while building a practice in UAE?
I will talk from a Saudi perspective. So you talk about a practice in all or in general?
General, like you yourself are a founder of a law firm, Mastery Law Firm.
Yeah, of course.
So how did you build that, and how did you actually start this?
As any profession, you have to have first a license. You have to have a degree, university degree, and then you have to practice for a couple of years. We have now 2 years. You have to practice law as trainee lawyer before you are. You can apply for a license from Ministry of Justice. So after that, you get your license. You're able to open your firm, Before that, you cannot open your form. You cannot get direct power of attorney from a client. You just have a power of attorney through the main attorney. So there is no direct power of attorney from the client to trainee lawyer in Saudi Arabia. Should be through the lawyer. This is first. Second, according to Saudi law, you should have an office, physical office, located in Main Street. I'm talking Main Street, not very expensive, any place, but it should be in commercial land. Okay. So this is like general conditions. You should obey by laws, obey by Saudi profession policies for lawyers. You have to sign for Saudi Bar Association as a membership. You have to welcome your client in your office. There is some kind of rules, organize the practice in general. What about in India?
Okay, so in India, it's very interesting that we cannot advertise ourselves as litigators or as lawyers. So we are being banned to do that as per the Bar Council of India laws. So what we do is we obviously go through the similar process of just getting ourselves enrolled under the Bar Council, and then you get a license, and then you decide either you want to do a corporate practice or sort of a litigation practice. And that's when I started my litigation practice by the name of Ava Associates. And eventually I started with corporate litigation, but then when I started working with corporate clients, I realized there's a lot of compliance work. And that's when I started actually doing license work and compliance work and due diligences for corporate clients. And now with respect to this information governance, there's this new act which is coming, which is the Data Protection Act, which is going to be really, really important as for my understanding, because there's a law in the EU, the European Union, which is called the GDPR law. It's General Data Protection Regulation. So it's basically a set standard for the world to follow these compliances with respect to the data that is being followed and flown through organizations. And inspired by that, India has introduced a data protection bill now, and it has become an act already. It is yet to be enforced though. In the August 2023, it came into, it has been passed in the parliament. So yeah, right now we're just looking forward to start the work as soon as it gets enforced with the compliance of data protection.
Regarding the regarding the advertisement, in Saudi, we used prohibited to a lawyer to advertise himself. Recent years allow to advertise yourself as a lawyer directly or indirectly. There are some conditions. You have to be competitive. So you cannot say, I am the best lawyer in the world. You should say, I am providing this kind of services, and I am specialized in this kind of field, but you cannot compare yourself with others. You cannot give yourself, some era that is not true. You should be honest. You should describe your service. That's all.
Oh, fair enough.
You cannot compare yourself with others.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So my basic question is going to be like, how do you actually get clients then?
Oh, you're asking so.
I mean, like, what's the first step for actually you to get? I mean, apart from word of mouth and
attending this kind of events. One thing to do.
Okay.
Second, we do have some specialized in some area. We are strong in some field of law, and our clients know us through our connections. And law about
so it's basically similar everywhere. We also we meet one person and then the other person gets us more clients, and then
the simple equation.
Simple equation.
Nothing.
Right. Well, so I understand that you guys are having a lot of clients, and then they are at times stuck up, in for preparing the strategies for the data protection, right? So what kind of strategies you guys implement? Abhishek, turning to you first, that what kind of strategies you implement for data protection, for avoiding the potential breach of data?
So to begin with, thank you for that question. That's really interesting. To begin with, we need to have a robust information governance. When I say robust information governance, it has to be very, very effective. Regular compliance audits, we cannot simply, leave everything to the lawyers. just to take care of external lawyers to take care of the data. We need to provide regular trainings to the employees. I mean, I definitely urge all my organizational or corporate clients to just conduct regular trainings with respect to this data protection laws. Because in this, all of these developed nations, after the GDPR compliance, are all following the data protection laws, and the penalties are hefty. So in India, with this new law, the penalty can go up to $30 million, and that's immense. That's really immense. And in this digital era, data is actually king, and we need to be able to teach our employees, be it from the finance, be it from the operations, be it from the business perspective. The employees must know as to how the data is moving, and it should be moving safely.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek. For us, in context of Saudi Arabia, how these, strategies are implemented for, data privacy?
All start from governance. So litigation readiness need to start with a plan, precaution plan, state of being ready, very prepare for facing potential lawsuits, potential judicial actions. So usually companies should apply rules, should know what kind of information to protect, because each day company exchange a lot of information. We cannot protect everything. There is some certain category of information, of data, that should be protected to be used in need. So it's precaution plan. Start from governance. We have to, usually the staff in charge should start to structure a policy that who deal with the data, who has access to the data. Myself, I have experience with data, very important data regarding financial data. 70% of the company that I reviewed has access to the information, while the person in charge just 2. So I was shocked. The information was not unprotected. It's not from outside, from inside. So we should focus on the risk. What is the risk management? It's like whole process required policy, advanced policy. As a law, we have a law to protect such actions if there is a lack of information outside. However, I believe the companies, if they lost information, they cannot control the side effect. Even though if you go to the court and maybe you get some compensation from the employee or other side, but at the end, you lost a big part of your business maybe. For example, I have a company, medical company. They have a list of clients, a list of medical items and prices and everything. It was detailed information. One of the employee take the information and share it with the competitive. The competitive apply for the business, the same business, 3D, I believe, and the other party win the business because there was a lack of information inside the organization. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent point. Yeah, I mean, of course, the clients always want to be confident for the data privacy, and discussing the strategies to avoid the potential breaches is important with the clients, of course. So now, in terms of that, let's add on to that, Abhishek. Given that global nature of businesses today, right? So there are cross-border transactions. So I'm just wondering how your organization, controls the data privacy in the cross-border transactions.
Like I said, it's not the responsibility of only the in-house legal teams. It's the responsibility of the whole organization to protect that data and ensure that data is moving safely within the organization. So first I would suggest awareness. Speak about it, talk about it. You won't believe, before 2023, there was particularly no law in India particularly for data protection. There was only one law which only governed these facts, which was the Information Technology Act. And it did not have any hefty penalties. It did not have any compliance issues. It was just a simple, act which governed the data privacy laws. And after the introduction of this new act, I think awareness is very, very important. Regular training is very important. It's not about just, conducting one session of training with your employees and then forget about it. You have to keep on teaching them, making them understand the gravity of the situation, the gravity of a violation. And moving on, so regular compliance audits, awareness, and regular trainings of the employees. And it's not a job, I'm again and again saying, it's not a job of the IT guy in the company to just see whether the data is moving safely or not. It should be the responsibility of everyone, of every department, to avoid hefty penalties.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I've recently seen that India is, evolving with the laws. They have recently changed their CRPC and all those laws. A lot of things are happening in India, and then recently said that data privacy happened there as well. So again, let's go back to Fawaz, where I think the data privacy laws are still evolving in Saudi Arabia. So in cross-border transactions, like similar to Abhishek, I asked the question, what do you think are the main points, while having the cross-border transaction and remembering them? Yeah.
Yes, myself, I believe organizations should always pay very attention to security, cyber security exactly, and also to give access to data to the person who is assigned to this such of data. So as I said, always category the information and give authority and give access to specific person, limit share of information, unneeded share. So in terms of international transaction, we had a case before a couple of years. That was there was a big transaction between two companies to sell from China. I believe 3 million USD. So what happened that a person who signed the purchase order to China sent it right with the full details, and later on the trade outside in China, they send a bank account with the details. So what happened? One of the organization inside the company changed the email itself with some technician tricks, and the money transferred to another account in London. So this kind of behavior can be stopped through giving the right authority to the right person. This is my opinion.
Is that working? Is there another mic? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Fawaz. Now, in terms of litigation readiness, Abhishek, do you have something specific to share about the litigation readiness? How do you prepare for that? How do you, put the specific strategies in litigation readiness? Yes, please.
I'll go back to the basics. I definitely have regular calls and free of cost calls with my clients to just make them aware about the pros and cons of any actions if they're taking. And I sometimes, for my corporate clients, I also act as an external general counsel, like a, how do I explain this? Like a one-stop shop. So if the CEO, for example, is facing, a notice of, some tax issues or something, he can just definitely give me a call and ask me, randomly that what is it about. So my litigation readiness is just giving my clients the readiness, the pros and the cons of their actions. And not obviously making them scared, but explaining them step by step as to what all steps can we take. So first steps, obviously, it's strategy as to if we are anticipating any litigation, then what should be our strategy. Second is obviously if we are on the defendant side, if we are on the defense side, then what are going to be our defense? What are the documents that we are relying upon to create that defense? And obviously judgments and precedents to back what we are saying. And eventually then that's, I think, the most basic litigation readiness which I also give to my corporate as well as individual clients.
Right, great points, Abhishek. Of course, we need to plan the complete litigation before moving into it. We cannot just jump into it without preparations. And of course, so for us, in the realm of litigation readiness, how does the mastery law firm ensure its clients are well prepared for its potential legal disputes? How does it go in that?
Usually we sit with them in advance. We give some advice and some steps. For example, we usually ask them to preserve all documents, whatever the documents are, and also to store it. Usually now, most of the companies store their files and documents, data on a cloud. So we ask them to hire cybersecurity companies, good reputation, licensed to ensure security. Also, we give them a guideline about what kind of information to store and take care of, and what kind of information that just keep maybe for a couple of years and then you can destroy it. So we sit with them, we train them usually. We have a client has this kind of issue, and it works with them. Also, we give them the advice of the importance of litigation readiness process. For example, now in Saudi Arabia, we use online remotely litigation, and usually the judges ask for data, for documents while the hearing session is due. So we ask for immediate documents to hand over, send it by email, and while the hearing session is due. So usually the data will be online or in the cloud. So just send it to the judge directly. So the whole system, Saudi Arabia, pushing to go very fast and
I'm glad that's happening. They're accepting documents online. So, during the pandemic, it used to happen that we were having judgments over the Skype, right?
It's happened after the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe we start during the pandemic and.
Right. Well, if we continue with that, so probably all the cases will be sorted, especially for India, where a lot of cases are pending, right? Isn't it?
Absolutely right. I mean, e-filing, virtual courts have made our life very, very easy, to be honest. Like, we don't have to necessarily go to court or from coach to coach. Like, I'm practicing primarily in New Delhi, and I have a firm in New Delhi. We have around about 8 district courts, 1 high court, 1 supreme court, many tribunals, and to be honest, it's a blessing that we can e-file anything and everything. We can file documents, we can file our affidavits. We have to mandatorily file e-filing through the e-filing portal to get our matter listed. So I think it's a blessing, and it's nice that we can actually do online filing before proceeding for offline filing. Earlier it was like a traditional base that we had to ask our clerks to be in the line to actually one by one get your matter listed and get your matter filed. But right now since everything is online, like the IP, I was speaking to some colleagues from the IP conference, and they told me that everything in their country is online. And so similarly, I mean, practicing in Delhi, practicing in bigger cities, in tier 1 cities in India, it's obviously a very, very online, very, very convenient for us.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine India is a big country with the world's number one, I guess, the population now, right? And then they have a lot of cases that way, and they have divided themselves nicely into, small courts as well, like Lok Adalats and all. They have been managing a lot of cases. Hope these e-governance things and, online courts will unburden the courts in India. Yeah,
definitely, I agree. And then I don't know to what extent will the disputes, the number of disputes will go down. I think we need more judges. Obviously, we need more courts. But this online thing is obviously very, very convenient, and it's basically transparent for the clients also. It's easier for us to make them understand what challenges are we facing with respect to filing or listing of a particular case in India specifically. So I think that's a blessing. Yes.
Yep, great. Thank you, Abhishek and Fawaz. Let's now open the floor for the audience, and I'm sure these are so interesting points like cybersecurity, data privacy, and the litigation readiness. I'm sure that the audience would have some interesting questions around that. Let's open the floor for the audience. If somebody has a question, please. Okay, so, well, do you have a question there? All right.
Well, wonderful discussion there. I do not have a question, but I would like to add to the UAE's perspective with respect to cross-border transactions and how we in UAE, we protect data privacy. What we have been doing in our companies here, especially the government sector, we fortify our transactions with the help of relevant contractual clauses. That's the first thing we do. Secondly, we build strong or formidable data policies, internal data policies. And third important factor is the legal and compliance department. We carry out induction programs for the new employees and train them with respect to internal policies. And one of the policies that we train them is with this particular data privacy policy. Apart from induction, we have regular training programs every 3 months where we, explain to every employee of the company, where there are representatives of each department, and we train them. And the trainings have been conducted by the legal and compliance team, where where there are legal counsels, and we take turns and we explain to them the rigors of transgressing the data privacy laws, not just the UAE personal data privacy law, that is 45 of 21, which was enforced or promulgated somewhere in January 2022. That is with respect to UAE. But we also comply with the GDPR, okay? And within the ambit, we structure the internal policy and we train our staff as well. So that's how even cross-border transactions, we try to fortify with the help of contractual clauses as well.
Yes, it absolutely makes sense to me that to have a contractual papers in place with respect to GDPR compliance, because they are hefty penalties, and to avoid that, it's beneficial for us to get into these contracts.
Yes.
Thank you for this session.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody has a question again? All right. So Abhishek, I have a question for you, Kane. Right. So, this is again related to the data privacy and trainings. So, as business owners increasingly recognize the importance of data privacy, so how do you approach training within organizations to enhance awareness and compliance among employees?
Like have policies which are aligned with the laws. Which, for example, I'll give you a very short example that if you are collecting or storing data of your user, for example, you need to understand that the data stored should only be taken after free consent from the user. Secondly, you should clearly tell your user as to why are you collecting this data, for what purpose, with whom are you going to share this data. For example, if you download any social media app and then you notice that you were talking about for example, mangoes, within your family, and then tomorrow you will see you'll have mango ads on your, Facebook or maybe Instagram ads or maybe LinkedIn. So consent is very important from the user. Informing the user as to why are you protecting, to what extent are you using their data, disclosing the fact as to if you are sharing that data to a third party. And for example, there's a clause in the new Data Protection Act which also says that the user, which is the data principal, has a right to get their data deleted also. So based on these lines, we try to conduct our trainings. I mean, it's yet to be started, to be honest, but based on these grounds only, the training is going to be conducted within the organization, and that's when we actually can ensure that the data is moving freely and safely.
Right.